Texas Governor Greg Abbott refusing to give up control of the Texas border to federal officials, saying the state will not give federal agents full access to Shelby Park today. That ignores a deadline set by the Biden administration, which is today. Instead, Abbott is installing more razor wire following a Supreme Court order allowing federal agents to start removing it. Texas now receiving support from 25 Republican governors, all backing Governor Abbott's border actions, blaming the Biden administration for the crisis. Former President Trump wants to take it one step further. He's now encouraging these states to deploy their National Guard troops to Texas to prevent illegal crossings. Trump's vowing that if he becomes president again, he's going to work with Abbott to seal the border, writing, quote, Biden says let in those should not get comfortable because they will be going home. I want to bring in Texas Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Keith Self. Congressman, good morning. Governor Kristi Noem already saying, yes, I would send National Guard troops. Is that something that you think that Texas is open to? And is that a move that needs to be made now?
Well, that will be up to Governor Abbott. But I think the border has now reached the boiling point that you now see governors getting involved. We have a trucker convoy coming down to the border. The American people are going to have to get involved. I'm delighted to see 25 governors support Governor Abbott. And yeah, I think we're going to have to be aware that the president can federalize the National Guard, but it would be much harder if 25 governors sent their National Guard troops to the border to support Texas.
Karine Jean-Pierre has been asked about this, and of course she's defending her boss, President Biden, but her response is always interesting. It still seems to be a gaslighting type of response from her. The border is secure. We're working on the border. Secretary Mayorkas, we're very aware of the issues down there, but their goal is to process migrants, not to stop the flow of migrants across the border.
Cheryl, I was on the border just 3 weeks ago, and that's exactly what the Border Patrol is doing. They have 72 hours to process the illegal immigrants, turn them over to ICE or a nonprofit to move them into the interior of the United States. They are not there to stop the invasion. And that's perfectly clear to anyone that's been on the border, anyone that sees the videos. At one point during the tsunami of probably a month ago, there were no Border Patrol agents actually in the field. They were all in the office processing paperwork during that tsunami.
Let's talk about this trucker convoy. You brought this up just a moment ago. So this is called Take Our Border Back. It kicks off Monday. So you've got multiple starts. You've got trucks leaving from Virginia Beach that are going to go through Texas, Arizona, California. On the website, it describes the event as a peaceful assembly, encouraging all freedom-loving and law-abiding Americans to attend. I saw that you posted on X to raise awareness about that. You obviously just mentioned it a moment ago. I understand that you're going to be speaking once they get to Eagle Pass. I also see that it's going to go through Yuma. It's going to go San Ysidro, California as well. 700,000 vehicles. That's the prediction here. How do you keep that peaceful and on track? That's a lot of trucks.
Well, the people that have organized this are the same people that went from California to D.C. with the truckers. I understand we're going to be joined by Canadian truckers. So these people are committed to a peaceful demonstration that we've had enough. The American people have had enough. We're demanding that the Biden administration do its job, enforce the laws on the books, and secure our border. 8 million people during the Biden administration. That's more than the population of Ohio. This is the time for us to rise up as the American people and demand that our president do his job.
Well, I hope, again, I do hope that envoy is peaceful and organized and doesn't kind of, you worry about large movements like this. I mean, obviously, the Canadian trucker convoy you just mentioned ended up creating a lot of issues and supply chain issues, of course, where the Business Network, I had to ask that. But I do want to bring in Carol Ross. She's got a question for you. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, Congressman, I love the fact that people are standing up and using their voices peacefully. But we know that bad actors in the past have co-opted these types of events and done everything they can to make the peace-loving Americans look bad. Are you concerned that there might be some sort of co-opting of this convoy?
That's always a probability, but you learn as you do these events. So they now know that that might have been in the past. So they've got measures in place to make sure that does not happen. And I am hopeful that
Governor Greg Abbott said his state will continue to hold the line against the Biden administration's border crisis. Almost all of the Republican governors are rallying behind Abbott in his border showdown. 25 Republican governors signed a letter supporting Abbott and affirming that the state has the constitutional right to defend itself, including adding more razor wire along the Rio Grande to secure the border. CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez is in Eagle Pass, Texas. Camilo, good morning.
Good morning, Dana. The Department of Homeland Security had given Texas a Friday deadline to say that it would immediately grant federal Border Patrol agents access to this park behind me, but Texas is showing no signs of backing down, paving the way for another legal clash. Texas is doubling down on its efforts at the U.S.-Mexico border. The state is defying federal demands to allow Border Patrol into a public park in Eagle Pass. National Guard soldiers are fortifying the park with armed vehicles, fencing, and razor wire. This is the razor wire at the center of an intensifying political feud between the state of Texas and the Biden administration. Texas argues that this is repelling migrants from crossing into the country illegally, but the Biden administration says that it is preventing Border Patrol from doing their jobs. While the wire has forced some migrants to return to Mexico, while the White House has called Texas's actions inhumane, some local leaders support them.
Governor Abbott is doing what the federal government should have done a long time ago. I'm not saying about the razor wire, and I'm not saying but about curtailing the influx of migrants into the United States. If that would have happened years ago, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now.
Government data released on Friday confirmed that officials here along the U.S.-Mexico border processed more than 300,000 migrants in December, a record high. While border officials have seen a dramatic drop in illegal crossings since then, they are bracing for another crisis. Michelle?
Camilo, thank
Over
you.
the border, pitting Texas against the federal government. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick went down to Eagle Pass and slammed the Biden administration for the way it's handled the migrant surge.
So I would say to President Biden, you say you want to secure the border, you can prove it by getting out of our way here. You don't need to be here.
But the president says the border is under federal control, not any one state. Right now, senators are negotiating a border security plan on Capitol Hill and expect to unveil it next week. President Biden issued a new statement saying striking a deal would give him emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed, a power he plans to use almost immediately. He's also calling on Congress to come through with the border funding he requested in October. It would allow the government to hire another 1,300 agents, 375 immigration judges, and 1,600 officers to handle asylum claims.